Dr. Elias Kale sat alone in the control room of the orbital outpost, the soft hum of machinery filling the silence. He had grown used to silence. His work as a xenobiologist had taken him far from Earth and the crowded colonies. Here, on the edge of a dim star system, he studied space dust, microbial life, and faint radiostatic. Most days were quiet, even dull. But on this day, something unusual appeared. The screen flickered with strange patterns. At first, Elias thought it was only interference, random noise from the dying star. But when he leaned closer, he noticed repetition. The lines rose and fell in a rhythm, like a voice trying to speak through the static. His heart quickened. Signals often came from stars or planets, but this one felt different. It was too structured, too deliberate. For hours he tried to decode it using the station's software, but the computers gave nothing. The patterns refused to break. Elias rubbed his tired eyes. "I must be imagining things," he muttered. Yet deep inside he knew it was not his imagination. It was a message. He simply did not have the skill to read it. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the quiet stars outside the viewport. His thoughts drifted to someone he had not spoken to in weeks. His stepson, Aiden. The boy was young, barely 20, with a talent for machines and codes. Aiden was clever but undisciplined, always hacking into school systems, building illegal drones or pushing boundaries. Elias had often scolded him, saying he wasted his potential. Their bond had never been strong, especially after Elias's wife, Aiden's mother, passed away. Since then, distance had grown between them. Elias sighed. He disliked asking for help, especially from Aiden. Yet the thought kept circling in his mind. Maybe the boy could see something he could not. Finally, Elias opened a comm channel. "Aiden," he said after a long pause, "I need your help." Aiden appeared on the small holographic display, messy-haired and grinning as usual. Well, Dr. Sirius himself calls me? Must be the end of the universe." Elias frowned. "This is not a joke. I've discovered something. A signal. I cannot decode it." "Signals? Like alien transmissions?" Aiden's grin widened. "I knew you'd find something cool out there." Elias shook his head. "It may be nothing, but I cannot leave it alone. Can you look at the data?" Aiden leaned closer to the screen, curiosity sparking in his eyes. "Send it over." Minutes later, the boy's face grew serious. His fingers danced quickly over his console. "This isn't random static," he murmured. "It's encrypted. Not alien language exactly. It looks like a mix of mathematics and code, almost like old Earth ciphers." Elias blinked in surprise. "You are certain?" Aiden smirked. "Do you want the long explanation or the short one?" "The short one. It's not natural. Someone, or something, wanted this hidden, and whoever did it used methods close to human encryption." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. He had expected Aiden to laugh, maybe to fail. Instead, the boy spoke with sharp confidence. For the next hours, they worked together across the distance of space. Aiden cracked small parts of the signal while Elias organized the pieces, comparing them to scientific databases. Their styles clashed often, Elias patient and precise, Aiden quick and careless. More than once Elias snapped, "Slow down, you'll corrupt the data." And Aiden shot back, "If I move slow like you, we'll be here for a century." But little by little the code opened. Shapes formed on the screen, numbers, coordinates, and faint echoes of something larger. Elias's pulse raced. This was more than data. It was a path. When the first coordinates appeared, Aiden leaned back and whistled. "These numbers point to a location in the asteroid belt not far from your outpost. Guess what? That's no random signal, it's a map." Elias stared at the glowing numbers. A map. His training told him to call the council immediately, to report the find. Yet he hesitated. The council was slow, bound by rules and politics. They might bury the discovery. He looked at Aiden, who sat waiting with an eager spark in his eyes. "What are you thinking?" Elias asked carefully. I'm thinking, Aiden replied, that someone left breadcrumbs, and we should see where they lead. Not later. Now. Elias opened his mouth to argue, then closed it again. His stepson's excitement was dangerous, but it was also right. Something inside Elias stirred, something he had buried years ago. Curiosity. The hunger for discovery. He rubbed his chin. It could be dangerous. We don't know what we'll find. Danger makes it fun, Aiden said with a grin. Besides, don't you want to know who left that signal? Elias looked back at the coordinates on the screen. His heartbeat thudded in his ears. He had asked Aiden for help, expecting little more than frustration. Instead, the boy had uncovered something extraordinary. Perhaps for the first time, Elias truly saw his stepson, not as a burden or a reckless youth, but as someone with sharp eyes and untapped potential. The stars outside seemed to shimmer with hidden secrets. Elias spoke softly, almost to himself. What have we stumbled upon? And for the first time in years, both man and boy felt they were on the edge of something greater than themselves. The coordinates glowed on the screen like a silent challenge. Elias sat in his chair, staring at them, deep in thought. His stepson, Aiden, leaned back on his side of the transmission, arms crossed, a mischievous grin on his face. So, Aiden said, are we going, or are you going to sit there staring until the star burns out? Elias frowned. This is no game. The council should be informed. The council? Aiden rolled his eyes. You know what they'll do. File it under unverified, lock it away, and forget it. By the time they move, whatever's out, there will be gone, or worse, found by someone less friendly. Elias tapped his fingers against the desk. He hated how often the boy was right. Yet the thought of breaking council law unsettled him. If we are caught leaving the station without clearance, they'll scold you, maybe fine you, big deal. Aiden shrugged. But imagine being the first ones to actually see what left that signal. Imagine if it's an alien ship. Elias's heart gave a nervous thump. A ship? The idea seemed impossible. Humanity had traveled far, but no one had ever found an intact alien vessel. At least, none the council admitted. Still, the coordinates felt like an invitation, a voice whispering across the stars, come and see. Elias finally sighed. Very well, but we will proceed carefully. Aiden grinned. Careful is my middle name. The shuttle detached from the outpost with a low vibration. Elias guided it forward with practiced hands while Aiden sat beside him in the co-pilot's seat, tapping commands into the console. Don't touch that, Elias warned as Aiden reached for a navigation setting. I'm just speeding things up, Aiden replied. Your course calculation is fine, but it's sloppy. Look, if we cut through here, we save 20 minutes. Elias scowled but let him adjust it. To his annoyance, the change worked. The boy's mind was quick, untrained, but sharp. Elias had always thought of him as reckless. Now he saw flashes of real skill. The shuttle drifted through dark space, stars, shining like cold diamonds. The asteroid belt soon loomed ahead, rocks tumbling endlessly. As the shuttle entered the belt, alarms beeped. Aiden leaned forward, eyes shining. We're close. The ship's sensors picked up a faint power source among the drifting stones. Elias felt his chest tighten. Something was there. They maneuvered carefully, weaving between tumbling asteroids. Then, out of the shadows, it appeared. The derelict ship was enormous, much larger than any human craft. Its hull was scarred, broken in places, but parts of it still glowed with faint blue light. It floated like a wounded giant, silent and majestic. Elias whispered, "By the stars." Aiden's jaw dropped. It's real. An alien ship. We actually found one. The shuttle drifted closer, and the alien vessel's strange design filled their view. Curved lines swept across its hull like flowing metal waves. Symbols marked its sides, glowing faintly as if alive. Even broken, it looked far beyond human engineering. Elias's hands trembled on the controls. His scientific mind screamed with excitement. Centuries of searching, and now he stood before proof of alien technology. But fear twisted his stomach too. Who had built this ship? Why had it been abandoned? "Let's go inside," Aiden said eagerly. Elias turned sharply. "No, it could be unstable. It may still hold automated defenses." Aiden gave him a look. "You didn't come all this way to stare from a distance, did you?" Before Elias could reply, the alien vessel pulsed faintly, as if sensing them. A docking hatch slowly opened on its side, releasing a dim light. Both of them froze. "It's inviting us in," Aiden whispered. Elias swallowed hard. Logic told him it was dangerous, but curiosity burned hotter. Slowly, he guided the shuttle into the open hatch. The docking clamps held them steady. The interior of the alien ship stretched before them. Dark, metallic, filled with faint glowing veins of energy running along the walls. The airlock hissed, releasing a cold gust. They stepped inside cautiously, wearing light suits. Their boots echoed on the floor. The place smelled faintly of ozone, like a storm trapped in metal halls. Aiden's eyes darted everywhere. "This is insane. Look at this tech. It's like the whole ship is alive." Elias touched the wall. It vibrated softly, as if it had a heartbeat. "It still has power. After who knows how many centuries." They moved deeper. Strange symbols lit up under their feet, reacting to their steps. The corridors curved strangely, confusing the senses. At last, they reached a chamber filled with strange consoles and floating crystals of light. "This must be the control room," Elias whispered. Aiden's curiosity got the better of him. He touched one of the consoles. Suddenly, blue light surged through the chamber. The crystals hummed and holographic shapes appeared in the air, stars, charts, and fragments of alien script. Elias shouted, "Don't touch anything without thinking." "Relax, I didn't break it." Aiden's grin faded as he stared at the glowing display. "Look, it's showing something." Elias's breath caught. The holograms formed a map, lines connecting systems, circles marking colonies. And at the center, a warning symbol flashing red. Aiden tilted his head. "What does that mean?" Elias's voice was quiet, trembling. "It's a message. And if I'm reading this right, it's not just a map. It's a warning." The room filled with the hum of alien energy, the holographic stars glowing brighter. Aiden and Elias exchanged a look. Whatever they had uncovered, it was bigger than either of them imagined. The alien control chamber pulsed with dim light, as if the walls themselves were breathing. Elias stood frozen, staring at the glowing star, map hovering before him. His heart raced with both awe and dread. The map was clear: systems, paths, warnings, but it was written in alien code, too complex for him to fully understand. Beside him, Aiden's eyes sparkled with excitement. "This is incredible. It's like a treasure map from another galaxy. We need to copy all of this." Elias forced himself to breathe slowly. "Careful. This ship is still active. One wrong move, and we may trigger defenses we cannot control." Aiden raised an eyebrow. "Defenses? Come on, this thing's been floating dead for centuries. If anything dangerous was here, it would have woken up when we docked." Almost on cue, the floor shivered beneath them. The crystals around the chamber hummed louder, and a pulse of energy rippled through the air like a heartbeat. Elias and Aiden froze. "Tell me that was just the ship settling," Aiden whispered. Elias's voice was tight. "No, the ship is responding to us." They stepped carefully around the chamber. Elias took readings with his scanner while Aiden studied the consoles. The alien technology seemed both familiar and strange. Its surfaces flowed like liquid metal, and the controls shifted beneath their hands as though adjusting to their presence. "What, if it's trying to talk to us?" Aiden asked, pressing his fingers against a glowing panel. The moment he touched it, the lights around the chamber flared. A column of blue energy shot up from the center of the room, filling the air with a low hum. Holograms appeared again, this time not just maps, but images. Elias gasped. The first image showed an alien species, tall, slender beings with elongated faces and bright eyes, standing aboard the same ship they now explored. The figures moved quickly, their gestures sharp and fearful. The next image showed dark clouds, swarming across the stars, consuming planets like fire. Ships tried to fight, but the swarm devoured them. Aiden's mouth dropped open. That's a war. They were running from something. Elias's hands trembled. Yes, and whatever destroyed them, it left this warning behind. The images faded, leaving only the map again, with red markers spreading across. Systems like a disease. Aiden broke the silence first. We have to take this back. Everyone needs to see it. Elias shook his head. The council will not listen. They will claim it's fake, or worse, seize the data and hide it. We must learn more first. If we can prove its truth, then they cannot deny it. Aiden scowled. So what? We just keep poking around and hope the ship doesn't eat us? Before Elias could answer, the ship seemed to decide for them. The walls brightened and a doorway slid open with a hiss, leading into a dark corridor. Elias swallowed. It wants us to go deeper. Aiden smirked nervously. Or it wants to trap us. Despite his fear, Elias felt the pull of discovery stronger than caution. He stepped through the doorway, his scanner raised, and Aiden followed close behind. The corridors twisted in strange patterns. The walls glowed faintly under their touch, guiding them forward. They passed broken panels sparking with blue fire, and doors sealed shut as if guarding secrets. The air grew colder, and their breath fogged inside their helmets. Finally, they reached a vast chamber lined with strange pods. Each pod glowed faintly, holding fragments of machinery, weapons, or crystal cores. The place looked like a vault. Aiden's eyes widened. This is like a storage room. Look at all this tech. If we brought even one of these back, we'd be famous. Careful, Elias warned, but his own eyes burned with curiosity. He approached one pod and studied the object inside, a IG device shaped like a sphere, covered in etched lines that pulsed with faint energy. Aiden tapped another pod and it opened with a hiss. A strange console floated out, its lights flickering weakly. Oops, he muttered. The moment the console floated free, alarms echoed through the chamber. The glowing veins in the walls turned red and a low rumble shook the floor. Elias shouted, "What did you do?" "I just touched it," Aiden defended. The console suddenly came alive, projecting streams of alien script. At the same time, the energy in the room surged dangerously, causing their scanners to overload. Elias grabbed Aiden's arm. "We must leave. Now." But before they could escape, the console projected a final hologram, one of the aliens again, their faces desperate. The figure raised its hand, pointing toward the star map, and then faded away. The ship fell silent. The red glow softened back to blue. Both of them stood trembling. Back aboard their shuttle, Elias studied the device readings while Aiden paced restlessly. That wasn't just some old log, Aiden said. It was a warning. They wanted someone to find it. Us. Elias nodded slowly. His voice was low. Yes, they wanted us to know that something terrible is coming. Something that destroyed them. Aiden stopped pacing. So what do we do? The council won't believe you. They don't even believe me when I say I'm fixing my own drone. Elias looked at his stepson carefully. We do what they will not. We uncover the truth. And we prepare. Aiden grinned nervously. You mean? We go back? Elias let out a tired breath. Yes, back into the ship. We must find its memory core. If it still exists, it will hold everything, their knowledge, their warnings, perhaps even their weapons. Aiden's grin grew wider, though fear lingered in his eyes. Finally, an adventure worth having. Elias looked out at the derelict ship drifting in the belt. It was silent again, like a giant waiting to be awakened. He felt the weight of what lay ahead pressing on his shoulders. When he first asked his stepson for help, he thought it would be a small task, a distraction. Instead, it had led them to the edge of history, and possibly to the edge of humanity's survival. The shuttle floated silently outside the alien vessel, its lights dim against the endless black of space. Inside, Elias sat hunched over his console, replaying the holograms they had captured. The alien figures, their desperate gestures, the swarms consuming worlds. It all looped again and again. Each time he watched, the same weight pressed down on him. These were not just fragments of history, they were a message, a cry for help left behind by a people already gone. Aiden paced behind him, restless. So let me get this straight. An alien race was wiped out by a swarm of whatever those things were. They left warnings in this ship, and now we're the lucky ones who found it. Elias rubbed his temples. That is the simplest way to put it. And the swarm? Where is it now? Elias hesitated before answering. The map suggests a path. The red markers were spreading along star systems. If the scale is accurate... He paused, his throat dry. Then the swarm is moving still, and it is heading toward human space. Aiden froze, his grin fading. You mean it's coming for us? Elias nodded. For a long moment, the only sound was the hum of the shuttle. Aiden finally broke the silence. So what's next? We can't just sit here, we need to tell someone. Elias agreed. His training as a scientist told him the same thing. The Council of Colonies had to know. If humanity was in danger, it was their duty to act. He began sending a secure channel to the Council headquarters. Aiden leaned over his shoulder, skeptical. You think they'll believe you? Come on, Elias, the Council barely listens to their own experts. And you're out here alone with one half-wild stepson. Elias frowned. They must believe. The evidence is too clear. But as he sent the report attaching the recordings and scans, doubt gnawed at him. The Council was slow. The Council was cautious. Would they act, or would they bury it under bureaucracy? 2 days later, the reply arrived. The Council's emblem flickered on the comm screen, followed by the stern face of a high-ranking official. His voice was calm but cold. Dr. Kale, we have reviewed your submission. Your so-called evidence of an alien threat is unverified, inconsistent, and possibly fabricated. We remind you that spreading false information can cause panic. As of this message, your research license is suspended pending further investigation. Elias's mouth went dry. Suspended? You cannot ignore this. The data is real. Humanity may be in danger. The official cut him off. Enough. This matter is closed. Return to your station and await further orders. Failure to comply will result in permanent exile from Council programs. The screen went black. Elias slumped in his chair, his shoulders heavy. Years of service, of loyalty, and the Council had dismissed him like a child. Behind him, Aiden gave a sharp laugh. I told you. That's what they do. Hide anything that doesn't fit their pretty little picture. Elias turned, his voice tight. This is not amusing. If they refuse to act, humanity is unprepared. Do you understand what that means? Aiden's grin faded into seriousness. Yeah, it means it's up to us. Elias blinked. Us? We are only 2 people. We cannot stand against an enemy that destroyed an entire race. Maybe not stand against it, Aiden said. But we can prepare. We have the ship, we have the tech, and we have proof. The Council can ignore your reports, but they can't ignore a swarm when it's eating their colonies. We just have to make sure we're ready when it shows up. Elias stared at his stepson. The boy spoke with reckless confidence, yet there was a spark of truth in his words. Perhaps the Council's blindness left no choice. Perhaps for now they had to stand alone. They returned to the alien ship. This time, they moved deeper, guided by the faint pulses of energy in the walls. Elias's scanner led them to a sealed chamber at the ship's heart. The door was massive, carved with glowing symbols. It's locked, Elias murmured. Locked? Aiden smirked. Not for long. He knelt beside the door, connecting his portable console to the alien panel. His fingers moved quickly, bypassing energy locks as though playing a game. Sparks of blue light danced, and then the massive door slid open with a hiss. Inside, they found the memory core. It was a towering crystal structure, humming softly, filled with streams of light moving like rivers inside it. Elias's eyes widened. This is it. Their knowledge, their history, everything they wanted to pass on. As they approached, the core activated. Holograms burst into the air. Alien, scientists, engineers, families. Their voices echoed in strange tones, translated slowly into broken human words by Elias's scanner. Warning. The swarm comes. Metal without life. Consuming. All. The images shifted to show the swarm again. Endless machines devouring. Planets, draining suns and leaving only silence behind. Aiden shivered. That's what's heading our way. Elias's voice was grim. Yes, unless we stop it. Back on the shuttle, they copied as much data as they could from the core. The process took hours, and even then the files were massive. Much of the alien language remained untranslated, but the maps were clear. A path of destruction leading directly toward human colonies within decades, maybe sooner. When the process was complete, Elias looked at his stepson. We cannot trust the Council, not yet. If they will not listen, then we must act alone. Aiden grinned despite the fear in his eyes. Finally, something exciting. So what's the plan? Elias's gaze returned to the derelict ship, its massive form drifting silently in the asteroid belt. We study their technology. We adapt what we can. And when the swarm arrives, we will be ready. The words felt heavy on his tongue, but they carried a strange fire. For the first time, he no longer felt alone. When he had asked his stepson for help, he had expected little. Instead, the boy had given him courage, and perhaps a fighting chance. The alien derelict drifted silently in the asteroid belt, its glowing veins like the faint heartbeat of a long-forgotten giant. Inside their small shuttle, Elias and Aiden studied the data they had copied from the memory core. The images of the swarm still lingered in Elias's mind, endless machines devouring stars, leaving behind nothing but dust. For days, father and stepson worked without rest. Elias decoded fragments of alien knowledge while Aiden tested how the shuttle's systems reacted when connected to scavenged alien components. Their cramped vessel soon looked like a workshop of chaos, filled with wires, glowing crystals, and parts that hummed with energy. Careful with that, Elias warned as Aiden adjusted a glowing sphere on the engine core. Relax, Aiden said, grinning. I know what I'm doing. You always think you know, Elias muttered, though secretly he admired the boy's quick hands and fearless approach. Where Elias hesitated, Aiden pushed forward. Together, they formed an unlikely balance. One evening cycle, after long hours of silence, Aiden leaned back and crossed his arms. So what's the plan, Elias? We can't just tinker forever. The swarm's on its way. Do we wait here and hope the council wakes up? Elias shook his head. No, waiting would be death. The council has turned their back. That leaves only us. We must prepare our own defense. Aiden raised an eyebrow. Our own defense? We're one shuttle and 2 people. What do you want us to do, fight an entire swarm alone? Not fight, Elias said firmly. Survive. Delay them long, enough that others cannot ignore the threat. He looked at the glowing alien crystals around them. These systems are powerful, far beyond our own. If we can adapt them, we may have a chance to hold the swarm at bay, at least for a time. Aiden leaned forward, a grin creeping across his face. So, we turn this shuttle into something more. Exactly, Elias said. The plan took shape slowly. Elias focused on translating the alien knowledge, uncovering schematics, and understanding how their power cores worked. Aiden, meanwhile, turned theory into practice. He stripped the shuttle of old human tech, replacing it with alien components. At first, nothing worked. Circuits fried. Consoles sparked. The engines shut down twice, leaving them adrift until Aiden patched them back. Elias grew frustrated, muttering that they were wasting time. But Aiden never lost his grin. Trial and error, he said cheerfully. Mostly error, but we'll get there. Bit by bit, they did. The alien energy spheres stabilized inside the shuttle's reactor. The weapon systems adapted, firing thin beams of light strong enough to melt asteroids. Shields shimmered faintly around the hull, something no human shuttle had ever possessed. Elias watched the transformation with amazement. His stepson, the reckless boy he once dismissed as undisciplined, was building miracles with his bare hands. 1. Cycle. While Aiden adjusted the targeting array, Elias sat beside him. "You know," Elias said quietly, "I underestimated you. I thought you wasted your mind on games and mischief. But without you, none of this would be possible." Aiden blinked, surprised by the praise. For once, his grin softened into something smaller, almost shy. "Guess I'm good for more than getting into trouble, huh?" "Much more," Elias admitted. For a moment, the silence between them felt lighter than it had in years. Their progress was tested sooner than expected. While running a weapons trial, they accidentally triggered a massive energy burst. It lit up the asteroid belt, drawing attention. Within hours, a Council patrol ship arrived, demanding an explanation. "This is it," Aiden muttered as the comms beeped. "They're going to shut us down." Elias hesitated, then pressed the comm. The Council officer appeared, stern-faced. "Dr. Kale, you are ordered to cease all unauthorized activity and return your shuttle for inspection. You are in violation of multiple codes." Elias's jaw tightened. For a moment, he nearly obeyed out of old habit, but then he remembered the memory core, the swarms, and the Council's dismissal. "No," Elias said firmly. "We cannot return. The threat is real, and we are preparing for it. If you will not help, then at least do not stand in our way." The officer's face darkened. "You leave us no choice. Prepare to be boarded." Before the patrol ship could move, Aiden activated the alien shields. The Council vessel's scanners went wild, unable to lock on. "Elias," Aiden said quickly, "if we stay, they'll capture us. If we run, we can finish the plan." Elias hesitated only a second. "Go." The shuttle leapt forward, faster than it had ever flown. The patrol ship gave chase, but the alien engines left it behind in moments. For the first time, Elias felt free of the Council's grip. After their narrow escape, Elias and Aiden worked harder than ever. They completed the shield integration, stabilized the engines, and mounted the alien weapons on the shuttle's frame. The small vessel was no longer a simple transport. It had become something else, something powerful. Aiden stood back and admired their work. "She doesn't look like much," he said proudly, "but she'll roar when it counts." Elias nodded, though worry still clouded his eyes. "It will not be enough to stop the swarm, but it may be enough to delay them and to prove to humanity what is coming." Aiden crossed his arms. "Good. Because when the swarm shows up, we'll be ready to give them a fight they won't forget." Elias looked at his stepson. Despite the fear in his heart, he felt a spark of hope. They were only two people armed with stolen alien technology, facing an enemy that had devoured civilizations. But for the first time, he believed they had a chance. Not to win, but to warn, to resist, and to light the fire humanity would need. When he had asked Aiden for help, he never imagined this. Yet now, standing aboard their rebuilt ship, Elias knew he would not want anyone else by his side. The swarm was coming, and they would be ready. The stars stretched endlessly before them, cold and silent. Elias Kale gripped the controls of their rebuilt shuttle, watching the distant colonies flicker like tiny jewels against the darkness. Beside him, Aiden checked the alien weapon systems for the 100th time, his fingers flying over the glowing controls. "They're close," Elias muttered. The sensors showed movement, an irregular dark cloud of machinery advancing along the same path the alien memory core had predicted. The swarm was coming. Aiden leaned back in his seat, eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and excitement. "Ready? To meet the monsters?" Elias swallowed hard. "Ready or not, we have no choice. Humanity is counting on us." The first wave of the swarm appeared like a shadow across the void. Individual machines, sleek and metallic, glimmered with cold light as they moved in unison, devouring everything in their path. Elias felt the weight of the task ahead. The alien ship's warnings were true. This swarm could consume entire systems. Engage the shields, Elias ordered. Target their approach vectors. Prepare to fire only when necessary. Aiden nodded, his hands steady despite the tension. The shuttle's new alien weapons hummed with power, ready to strike. For the first time, the boy's reckless energy became a calculated force. The swarm surged closer and the shuttle rocked under the pull of gravity wells from nearby asteroids. Elias's hands trembled as he guided them into a defensive position. He had fought simulations before, but nothing like this. Aiden took control of the weapon systems. "We'll slow them down, not destroy them," he said. "We can't fight them all, but we can make them pause. That's all we need, enough to warn the colonies." Elias nodded. He had trained for precision, but Aiden's instincts were uncanny. Where Elias hesitated, Aiden acted. Aiden fired first, a concentrated beam of blue energy that struck the lead machines. They spun wildly before regaining formation. "Impressive," Elias muttered. "But they adapt quickly." Aiden grinned. "Then we adapt faster." He adjusted the alien targeting array, predicting the swarm's movements before they happened. Every shot disrupted the swarm's formation, forcing them to slow, dodge, or break apart temporarily. The shuttle's shields flared repeatedly, absorbing impacts that would have destroyed a human vessel. Hours passed like minutes. Elias watched Aiden's hands, his face calm, almost fearless, as he controlled the alien systems with a precision no human should have possessed. "Elias," Aiden said, "we're holding them, but we can't keep it up forever. We need to buy time for the colonies to evacuate or prepare defenses." Elias swallowed. "You're right. Then we do exactly that. Focus on slowing them down. Every second counts." The swarm's machines began forming clusters, trying to surround the shuttle. Elias's heart pounded as he maneuvered them skillfully between asteroids, using their gravity and the terrain as cover. Aiden fired energy blasts at the clusters, scattering them in patterns that made them collide with each other. At one point, a massive machine broke through the shields and slammed into the shuttle. Alarms blared, sparks flew, and the hull groaned. Elias fought to stabilize the ship, his knuckles white on the controls. Aiden's eyes were sharp. "Hold on, I've got this." With a few quick adjustments, he rerouted power from the shields to the alien weapon array. A pulse shot out, striking the attacking machine and sending it spinning into an asteroid. The swarm hesitated, giving them precious moments. Elias exhaled, shaking. I don't know how you did that." Aiden shrugged, almost casually. "Instinct, and a little luck." They continued their stand, holding the swarm back long enough to send a high-priority warning to the human colonies. The message carried the coordinates of the swarm's path, evidence from the alien memory core, and a call for immediate action. As the transmission went out, Elias looked at Aiden. The boy had grown before his eyes, not just in skill, but in courage. He realized that humanity's hope was not in the Council, not in simulations or bureaucracy. It was here, in front of him, in the stepson he had once underestimated. The swarm began to pull back slightly, disrupted by the shuttles, alien weapons, and the gravitational traps they had set with the asteroids. Aiden adjusted their course, staying ahead of the machines. Elias's voice was quiet. "Aiden, you're doing this. You're keeping us alive. You're humanity's shield right now." Aiden blinked at him, a little surprised by the praise. Then he smiled. "I guess I'm the hero this time." Elias shook his head with a mix of disbelief and pride. "The unexpected hero," he said softly. "You've taken what I thought was reckless energy and turned it into hope." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the first reinforcements arrived. Human battleships, guided by the warning they had sent, emerged from the void. They moved. In formation, their weapons trained on the swarm. Elias and Aiden watched as the swarm, confused and disrupted, was forced to retreat. The shuttle had held the line long enough. Humanity was warned. Humanity had survived. Elias leaned back in his chair, exhausted but relieved. He looked at Aiden, still monitoring the controls. I owe you more than I can say. Without you, none of this would have worked. Aiden laughed softly. Hey, I just did what I could. Besides, it's fun to see the council eat their words. Elias smiled, a rare warmth spreading through him. For so long he had been alone, unsure of his stepson, unsure of the world. Now he saw clearly that humanity's strength often came from its unexpected heroes, the ones overlooked, underestimated, and underestimated again. As the swarm retreated, into the darkness the stars glimmered with quiet light. Elias knew the fight was not over, but for now, hope lived. And in that moment, he realized the truth of what he had long feared to admit. When he had asked his stepson for help, he thought it would be a small task, a fleeting distraction. Instead, Aiden had become humanity's shield, its unexpected hero, and the spark that could ignite a brighter future. The galaxy had never expected humans to stand against a threat like this, and it had certainly never expected a stepson to lead the way. Elias glanced at Aiden and said softly, "When I asked you for help, I never imagined this. You saved lives today. You saved humanity." Aiden smirked, leaning back in his seat. "I told you, sometimes the unexpected is exactly what you need." Elias nodded. The shuttle drifted among the stars, battered but alive. They had faced the impossible, and in that moment father and stepson understood something profound. Together, humanity could rise to meet any threat, even those beyond the stars. And the galaxy would never forget the day the unexpected hero stood against the darkness.